On a freezing New Year's Eve in New York City, the world gathers to watch the ball drop, until a colossal alien spacecraft appears over Times Square and tears open a glowing portal to another galaxy. Monsters and war machines pour out, turning celebration into slaughter in minutes. Governments fall. Cities burn. Humanity is pushed to the edge of extinction. But hidden among the survivors is someone who has waited for this moment for centuries. A man from an ancient species that shares a secret genetic origin with humans. He knows what the aliens really want. He understands the true purpose of the portal. As the war rages and Earth collapses, he steps forward to lead. What he unleashes, using the invaders' own technology, will change the world forever. But not everyone will survive the change, and not every enemy comes from the stars. If you want to know how the New Year's Eve massacre, the alien war, and the rise of the hidden leader twist together into one terrifying fate for Earth, keep watching. The darkest part starts after the first scream. Chapter 1. The night the sky cracked. I remember the exact second the world ended. It was New Year's Eve in New York City. I stood in Times Square, pressed against thousands of strangers, the winter air biting my face, confetti already sticking to the wet pavement. Screens flashed ads and countdowns. Music thumped through my ribs. People laughed, kissed, shouted. The sky above the skyscrapers was black and harmless. Then, at 11 hours 59 minutes and 30 seconds, the stars vanished. It was like a curtain dropped over the sky. A shape, so big my mind refused it at first, slid silently into view above Manhattan. The crowd went quiet, as if someone had hit mute. Even the music died, no fireworks, no cheers. Just a spreading shadow. Phones rose like a field of glowing hands. People filmed, thinking it was some next-level show. I knew better. I felt it, like a cold hand closing around my spine. For centuries, my kind had waited for this. The ship was smooth and black, wider than the island, its underside rippling with faint green patterns like veins under translucent skin. As it settled, the air grew heavy, pressing us down. The building lights flickered. "Is this real?" A woman beside me whispered. The countdown clock kept going. Oblivious point 10, the beam of sickly green light lanced downward from the belly of the ship, striking the exact center of Times Square. People stumbled back, shielding their eyes. Some screaming now point 9, the beam widened, swallowing the street. The asphalt trembled and cracked. Glass rattled in every window. In the center of the light, the air began to twist, folding in on itself like a whirlpool point 8. "It's a portal," I breathed, though no one heard me. My voice was lost in the rising roar of Terror Point 7. The swirling light deepened. Colors I had no human words for spinning in the heart of it. A smell like burning metal and rot rolled over us. Somewhere, a child started to cry. Thin and shrill point 6, the people ran. The crowd turned on itself. A wave of bodies pushing, clawing, trampling. I didn't move. I couldn't. My blood thrummed with an old pulse, something older than any human memory. My ancestors had seen this before. On another world point 5, the portal flared white, then settled into a churning green-violet storm, stretching higher than the towers around it. The ship hummed, a deep, bone-rattling vibration point 4. The shapes moved in the light point 3. The first alien stepped through. It was tall, thin, its armored skin like wet black bone, edges lit with pale green seams. Its head was a smooth curve with no mouth, just rows of glistening eyes that layered over each other like scales. Its fingers were long and jointed wrong, ending in hooked claws that sparked against the asphalt point 2. Behind it came dozens more. Then hundreds point 1. The new year arrived in silence, without a single cheer. Instead, the invaders opened fire. Green lances of energy ripped through the crowd, turning people to ash where they stood. Cars exploded. Glass rained from shattered windows. The sound hit all at once. Metal shrieking, people screaming, the deafening hum of alien weapons. The ball never finished dropping. The sky had cracked, and from the wound, our worst nightmare had arrived. Chapter 2. The first wave. I ran when I had to. There's only so long even my kind can stand in the open while the world burns. I ducked into a side street as a beam seared the air where my head had been a heartbeat before. Heat washed past me, peeling posters off brick walls, melting a parked car into a twisted, glowing hulk. The screams blurred together into one ugly sound. Above, smaller ships dropped from the main craft like deadly sparks. They unfolded into sharp, insect-like drones that darted between buildings, firing at anything that moved. A man stumbled toward me. His face burned, eyes wild. "What are they? What is this?" he gasped, grabbing my sleeve. "The beginning," I said, and pulled free. He didn't understand. None of them did. They thought this was an invasion. For the aliens, it was more like a harvest. An alley opened ahead, dark and narrow. I slipped into it, boots splashing through puddles. The noises of the street muffled behind me. The air stank of garbage and smoke. I pressed my back to the cold brick and finally let my mind reach for the part of me I had kept locked away for decades. The part that wasn't quite human. They had found us. A shadow passed over the mouth of the alley. One of the drones, triangular and sleek, hovered there, its many eyes glowing. It rotated slowly, scanning. I held my breath, drawing my presence inward until my body felt like empty cloth. My heart slowed. My skin chilled. For a few seconds, I was almost gone. The drone paused, then turned away, screeching after another target. I exhaled. My hands shook. Their scanners still worked the old way. They were looking for something specific, even if humans could not see the pattern. They were looking for me. Not me, exactly. My kind. The hidden bloodlines scattered across Earth like faint embers. The ones who had escaped them so long ago, who had mixed with humans, who had forgotten and remembered 100 times as history rose and fell. I stepped back out into chaos. Fire licked at broken windows. Sirens wailed, then cut off as quickly as they began. In the distance, a skyscraper folded in on itself. As if an invisible fist had squeezed its spine, people sprinted past. Some smudged with soot, some bleeding, all of them scared past words. One woman clutched a baby to her chest, eyes empty. A man in a suit dragged an injured friend, both coughing in the smoke. I should have helped them. I wanted to. But there was something worse than those drones coming through the portal, and if I didn't move now, no one would be left to help. Overhead, the main ship pulsed, sending another surge of light through the portal. The ground rumbled. More troops, larger machines like walking fortresses, stepped into our world. The first wave had only been to soften us. This was the real attack, and somewhere, buried deep under this city, lay the one thing that might let us fight back. The thing my people had hidden here for 1,000 years. Chapter 3. The Hidden Bloodline. I slipped into the subway, down cracked concrete steps crowded with fleeing bodies. The air was humid and thick, filled with sweat and fear and the metallic tang of dust. A few police officers tried to organize the flood, shouting, waving, but their voices broke under the roar from above. Underground, the sounds of war became a dull, constant growl. I moved against the flow deeper, past the platforms, down maintenance stairs no one noticed, through a rusted door that stuck before it finally gave way under my shoulder. The light dimmed to a sickly yellow flicker. This was closer to home than why Father had brought me here when I was 10. Back then, the city had been different, but the bones under it were the same. He had knelt, held my small shoulders, and told me who I was. "You are not human," he'd said softly. "Not only human. Your blood comes from elsewhere, from a people who fled a dying sky, long before these streets ever existed. We hid here. We became stories, then rumors, then nothing. But one day, the sky will open again. When it does, you must remember this place." He had pressed my palm against cold stone. Now, years after his death, my hand found the same spot without seeing it. The maintenance tunnel ended at a blank concrete wall, stained with age. To anyone else, It was nothing. To me, the pattern of discoloration formed a map burned into childhood memory. I spread my fingers, pressed, and whispered an old word that had never belonged to any human tongue. The wall trembled. Dust rained down. Slowly, silently, it slid aside. Beyond it waited a narrow stairway curving down into the dark. I went alone. The air cooled with every step, turning sharp in my lungs. The sounds of the city faded until there was only the drip of water and my own footfalls. A faint glow rose from below, greenish and steady. The stair ended in a chamber carved from bedrock. Its ceiling arched low, the walls smooth, etched with symbols that twisted if you stared at them too long. In the center, a circular platform pulsed with soft light. Around it, they stood waiting. 6 of them. My kind. Some I knew by face from years of passing them on the street, pretending we were strangers. A woman who sold flowers on the corner of 7th and 44th. A homeless man who slept by the river. A quiet professor who walked the park every morning at 6. And others I had never seen. "You're late, Elias," the flower seller said. Her eyes, in this light, showed the faint inner glow we all hid. "Traffic," I answered, because if I didn't joke, I might break. A tremor shook the chamber as something massive crashed above. Dust drifted from the ceiling, glowing in the light. "They have come," the professor said, "just as the records predicted." I stepped onto the platform. Symbols flared to life under my boots, spreading outward in ripples. The air smelled suddenly of ozone and something older, like dry stone under a sun that had never shone on Earth. "All this time," I said quietly, "we waited for them to find us again. Why here? Why bring their war to this world?" The homeless man laughed, a cracked sound. "This world found us first, boy. We just tried not to break it while we hid." The flower seller looked at me with something hard and heavy in her gaze. "Because this time, we are not just running. This time, we fight." On the far wall, a shape began to emerge, not physical, but made of light. A map of the galaxy, warped and twisted, the portal over New York shining like a wound. I knew then why they were all looking at me. "You're the last of the line," the professor said. "The purest trace left. Our chance to reach the core of their network, to turn their own door against them." My stomach knotted. "I'm not ready," I said, and no one answered. There was no time to be ready. Above us, the world was ending. Chapter 4. The plan to steal the stars. We gathered around the platform as the glowing map shifted. Lines of light traced from the portal over New York to others hanging in orbit, then out into the darkness beyond our system. "They're gateways," the professor said, tapping a shimmering thread. "They spin webs between galaxies. Every world they take becomes another anchor point, another link in their chain. If we break this one," I said, pointing to the furious glow above our city, "do we free Earth or do we tear it in half?" Silence. The truth was, none of us knew for sure. "They didn't always use them to invade," the flower seller murmured. "Long ago, they were just doors, ways to travel, to trade, to learn. Until greed took over," the homeless man spat. "Until they started taking, not asking. Until they started hunting us. We stole their gift and ran. They've never forgiven it." My chest tightened. I had heard the stories in pieces, bedtime tales dressed as fantasy. Now they felt too real. "So we stole their technology once," I said. "We can do it again." Heads turned toward me. "That is the plan," the professor replied. "If we can get you close enough to the core of the portal generator, your bloodline can interface with it. You might be able to rewrite its link. Turn it off. Turn it back on them. We don't know. Might. Maybe. Words to die for." "And to get me there?" I asked. "We fight," the flower seller said simply. The next hours blurred. We surfaced into a city that no longer felt like a city. Smoke blackened the air. Sirens bled into alien shrieks. Whole blocks glowed orange where fires chewed through glass and steel. Drones scanned the streets, lancing beams into shadows. But humans were fighting back. On 8th Avenue, a group of soldiers had set up a makeshift barricade of cars and rubble. They fired rifles and rockets at advancing alien walkers, ducking behind cover as energy bolts tore chunks of asphalt free. It wasn't enough that we stepped into their world like ghosts. One soldier, face streaked with soot, swung his rifle toward me. "Stay back. It's not safe." I grabbed his barrel, pushed it gently down. "I know. We're here to make it worse." He blinked at me, confused, then flinched as a bolt exploded behind us. "Listen," I shouted over the noise. "We can use their weapons, but you have to get us one that's still intact." "You can use them?" Disbelief warred with hope in his eyes. "Give us something that hasn't killed you yet," I said, "and we'll make it kill them instead." He nodded, slow, then motioned to two others. Together, under a hail of fire, they dragged a smoking alien cannon from the street's edge. Its surface twitching with faint green lines. Up close, the weapon was worse. It looked grown, not built, ridges of black bone wrapping a pulsing core of light. As my hand neared it, the core brightened, reacting to something in my blood. The soldier saw it. "What are you?" he breathed. "Your best shot," I said, and wrapped my fingers around the grip. Pain stabbed up my arm, cold and hot at once. For a second, the world went white. Images flashed behind my eyes. Distant stars, a dark fleet hanging over a burning world, a portal blossoming open like a diseased flower. I forced myself to stay upright. The weapon calmed under my touch, its light settling into a steady glow. The flower seller pressed her palm to my shoulder. Her presence steadied the storm inside me. "Focus," she said in the old language. "Shape it. Don't let it shape you." I exhaled slowly, lifted the cannon, and aimed at the nearest walker. It felt like pointing my own heartbeat. When I fired, the recoil wasn't physical. It was like something inside me had jumped. A lance of sick green energy ripped from the barrel and slammed into the alien machine's leg. Instead of deflecting off its shield, the beam slid through. Burrowing deep, the walker screamed, a horrid metallic cry, and collapsed, its insides boiling. The soldiers stared. "Holy," one whispered. "Do that again." We did. Alien tools, alien doors, alien fire. They had all been theirs. Not anymore. Chapter 5: Fire in the Streets. War chewed through the city hour by hour. We moved from block to block, trailing smoke and rumors. Somewhere along the way, the soldiers stopped asking what we were and started following orders. Other survivors joined us. Cops, medics, random people with more courage than sense. They called me the guy with the green gun. Not elegant, but it worked. Alien walkers crashed through buildings. Drones scythed streets into burning trenches. Above it all, the main ship watched, the portal under its belly churning, feeding, growing. We hit them hard, using captured cannons. We punched holes in armored beasts that had never expected resistance from their own weapons. Our bullets became less important than the energy we could steal and redirect. Every time I touched a new device, their network hummed at the edge of my thoughts. A vast, cold presence. T noticed me on West 42nd, under a sky split by beams and smoke. We met one of their commanders. T dropped from the ship on a column of green fire, slamming into the rubble with enough force to shatter glass for blocks. It rose slow, unfolding like a nightmare. Taller than any walker, its form was layered bone armor, plates sliding over each other, each edge lined with flickering light. Where its face should have been was a smooth mask of black, inset with a cluster of eyes that turned and focused on us. One by one, me last, the air thickened. My lungs struggled. The cannon in my hand shook, vibrating like it wanted to leap free. "Back!" I snapped, waving the others away. "Get behind cover." "What about you?" a soldier shouted. "This one wants me," I said. "Let's not disappoint it." The commander took one step, and the street buckled. A wave of invisible force slammed into us. Cars flipped. People were thrown like dolls. I hit a wall hard enough to see stars, and in the ringing silence that followed, a voice crawled into my mind, "Found you." The words weren't in any human language, but I understood. They carried the taste of old stars, of worlds cracked open like eggs. You run. You hide. You steal. Little ember. Little thief that I force myself to stand, every muscle shaking. "This world is not yours," I said aloud, gripping the cannon until my knuckles went white. "All worlds are ours," the commander raised an arm. Light gathered at its palm, brighter and brighter, until it felt like knives in my eyes. I didn't think. I dove inward, reaching for the piece of myself my father had taught me to fear. The piece that answered when alien circuits called. For a heartbeat, I became a bridge. Energy roared through me, not from the cannon but from the thing looming over us. I twisted it, changed its path, forced it down into the street instead of out toward my people. The beam fired. Concrete exploded between us, a geyser of molten stone. The shockwave knocked us both back. My vision went black at the edges. Blood ran warm from my nose. The commander hissed, an awful metallic screech. Its eyes flared. "Not prey. Not tool. Traitor. Leader," I rasped, lifting the cannon again. "Get it right." This time, when I fired, the beam wasn't just stolen energy. It was mine, shaped with all the fear and rage and stubborn will I had left. It punched through the commander's chest plate, burned straight into whatever passed for its heart. For a second, it froze, then it collapsed, armor sloughing away into ash. The silence after its fall was almost worse than the battle point. One of the soldiers let out a shaky laugh. Another screamed wordless victory into the smoke, and I sagged to my knees. Killing it hadn't been the victory I'd hoped for, because as its mind winked out, something bigger behind it turned to look directly at me in the cold dark between stars. The true intelligence guiding this invasion had finally noticed the insect trying to bite its hand. Chapter 6. Inside the portal. Night bled into a kind of false dawn. The sky over New York, a sick mix of fire and alien light. The main ship pulsed faster now, aware of us, angry. The portal had swollen, its edges licking at nearby buildings like green flame. Our window was closing. We fought our way to the tower directly under the ship, the one the alien beam had first struck. What was left of it? Its top half was gone, replaced by a column of shimmering energy that speared into the underbelly of the craft. "This is as close as we get from the ground," the professor said, his face grey with exhaustion and dust. "Then we don't stay on the ground," I answered. An alien carrier drone screamed overhead, low. We hit it with 3 captured cannons at once. Its shields flared, faltered, and failed. It spiraled, smoking, toward us. "Get down!" someone yelled. IT crashed into the tower's side, half wedging itself into twisted steel. Fire burst from seams in its hull. The smell of burning alien flesh hit like a physical blow that I stumbled toward it. "What are you doing?" the flower seller shouted. "Taking a ride." The drone's insides were a mess of cables, bone-like struts, and pulsing sacks. I climbed over a dead pilot, its body still twitching, and slammed my hand onto a control surface that glowed faintly. For a moment, nothing. Then, like opening a door into a hurricane, the network flooded through me. A web of connections, commands, locations. The portal core pulsed in my mind like a diseased star. I seized one thread and pulled. The drone lurched, metal screaming. It tore free of the rubble and shot upward, toward the blinding heart of the beam. My stomach dropped. Wind howled through broken plates, stinging my face with ash and sparks. Below, tiny figures watched us rise. My people, my soldiers, my world. Then the green swallowed everything. Passing through the beam felt like being peeled. Every layer of me exposed, scanned, judged. Memories tore free. My father's face, a childhood scraped knee. The first time I saw the alien ship over the city, on the other side, Gravity flipped. We emerged inside the belly of the main craft, dragged into a cavernous chamber where the portal's core hung suspended. It wasn't just a machine. It was a piece of somewhere else, bound in metal claws, swirling like a captive galaxy. Around it, platforms and walkways folded and unfolded in impossible patterns. Alien workers scuttled along them, adjusting, calibrating, feeding power into the hungry light. They turned as the drone crashed. Shrieking, I tumbled out, rolled hard, and came up aiming the cannon at the nearest alien. Its chest exploded in a spray of luminous fluid. Alarms wailed. A rising, drilling sound behind my eyes. The vast presence I had felt from afar now loomed immediate and crushing. You came to me, little Ember. How brave. How foolish. I didn't come to talk, I snarled, and ran. Energy bolts sizzled past, scorching the black metal under my feet. I zigzagged along a narrow bridge, the portal's light to my right, a bottomless drop to my left. The air here vibrated with power. Each breath tasted like static. Closer. The closer I came to the portal core, the louder the presence grew. Images slammed into me, worlds consumed, species crushed, countless doors opening and closing in a rhythm older than any star we knew. I reached the last platform. There, hooked directly into the glowing storm, stood a pedestal of black stone shot through with green veins. Touch me, the presence whispered. Join. Submit. That I planted my feet. No, I said, and pressed my blood-stained hand to the stone. Pain hit like lightning. My body arched, every muscle locking. The portal's roar drowned out everything. I felt its structure, its links, its chains stretching into other galaxies. I also felt a way to cut them. The thing behind the invasion pushed into my mind, trying to smother, to rewrite. It showed me futures where it spared Earth in exchange for opening more doors. It offered power beyond anything my kind had ever dreamed. You took everything from us once, I gasped. You won't do it again. I thought of Times Square, of the burned faces, of the woman clutching her baby, of the soldiers betting their lives on a stranger with a stolen gun, and I pulled not to join, to break. Chapter 7. After the last light. When the portal died, it did not go quietly. Light that had only ever poured out suddenly reversed, sucked inward in a violent rush. The chamber shook. Aliens screamed as the energy they fed on turned and burned them from the inside out, unearthed. The beam that had stabbed Times Square snapped like a broken bone. The sky went black for an instant, every sound cut off. Then the shockwave hit, and I saw it in fragmented images through the network still half embedded in my skull. Windows shattering for miles, alien ships tearing apart mid-air, walkers freezing, their cores going dark. The great craft over New York shuddered, its underside cracking open like an egg. The presence that had filled my mind shrieked, not in pain, but in rage. You break one chain, Ember. We have more. Then we'll break those too, I whispered, barely conscious. The stone pedestal under my hand crumbled. The platform buckled. For a moment, I hung at the edge of a collapsing world between worlds. Then the drone I'd ridden in on, half dead, half alive, lurched under me, its systems following some last echo of my earlier command. Metal arms snapped shut around my waist. We fell through smoke and shattered metal, through the bleeding guts of the ship. Out into open air, New York rushed up. A blur of fire and ruin and desperate, blinking lights. We hit the side of a skyscraper, skidded, bounced. The drone disintegrated. I tumbled through a broken window, rolled across glass and dust, and finally came to rest staring up at a ceiling that no longer existed. Above, where the ship had been, there was only a wound in the clouds, slowly closing, and my body hurt in ways I didn't have names for. Every nerve felt scorched, but I was alive. More importantly, the portal was gone. Days blurred after that. The aliens didn't vanish, not all of them. Many died when their power source shut down, their bodies collapsing like puppets cut from strings. Others fled, limping ships clawing at the sky. A few scattered units fought on, feral and confused, until we hunted them down. The war didn't end in a single moment. It faded, leaving behind silence and ash. New Year's Day never really came. Time lost its shape in the smoke. But eventually, dawn started to look like dawns again. I stood once more in Times Square, or what was left of it. The screens were dead. The ball lay shattered in the rubble. The place where the beam had struck was a blackened crater, ringed by cracked buildings and half-collapsed signs. Around it, people worked. They cleared debris. They set up tents. They raised makeshift towers where alien generators hummed, their light now tamed, clean and blue instead of sickly green. The air still smelled of burned plastic and dust, but under it was something new. Hope. Soldiers, engineers, kids in scavenged jackets, they all moved with a tired purpose. Drones, now under our control, lifted heavy beams. Alien metal bent under human welders' torches. Someone had painted a crude sign on a bit of wall. "We're still here." The professor approached, walking with a cane. The flower seller walked beside him, dirt on her cheeks, sleeves rolled up. "How many?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. "Too many," he said, "but more than none, and more than they expected." I watched a group of teenagers argue cheerfully over where to place a salvaged alien battery. A child chased a small floating drone, laughing as it dodged. "What happens now?" I asked. The flower seller smiled, tired but real. "Now we do what humans always do after the end of the world. We rebuild. We learn. We make something new out of the pieces. And us." I said, "My kind. You lead," she said simply. "Not as their god, not as their master, as a bridge between what was, what is, and what could be." I thought of the network I had touched, the technology buried in alien tools, waiting to be understood, doors that could carry us anywhere, if we controlled them instead of letting them control us. The invasion had nearly wiped us out. IT had also given us a terrible, beautiful gift. "We'll need rules," I said. "Safeguards. We can't become what they are." "That," the professor said, "is why you are the one who survived." I stepped to the edge of the crater, looking down at the blackened scar. My reflection stared faintly back from a pool of stagnant water at the bottom. Same face, same short dark hair, same tired eyes, but underneath, something else now glowed. Not alien, not human, both. "To anyone watching this," I said quietly, knowing our recordings would spread, our story told 1,000 ways. Remember this night. Remember this sky. Remember what it took to pull us back from the edge. Far overhead, a faint line of repurposed alien satellites winked to life, forming a new mesh around the planet, not as a cage, but as a shield. "This is not the end," I said. "This is the first day of a different Earth. Out of chaos, we would build something better. We had stolen fire from the stars. Now we had to decide how to use it." If you reached this point of the story, thank you for staying with me through the invasion, the war, and the rebirth of Earth. If you enjoyed this tale and want more dark sci-fi and horror stories like this, remember to subscribe to the channel, activate the notifications so you don't miss any new videos, give a like to support the work behind these stories, leave a comment sharing your favorite moment or your own theory about what comes next, and share this video with your friends so they can experience the nightmare too.